Today, we're talking about how to write content in your or for your email marketing campaigns. And believe it or not, it starts with number one, and that is your sending name. How many of you actually know what your sender name is and what people are seeing when they open up their emails? And it is different based on the platform that you have. So if you jump into your emails and if you've got them open or mobile phones, but have a look and see what your sending name is. Depending on the platform that you use, you may even be able to put emojis in there. You may even be able to put an image in there, but it is dependent on the platform that you use. But some of you may have an old name in there. I always remember this is the story that I tell people about this guy. Was a hypnotherapist. I used to get all his hypnotherapy emails. His sender name was hypnotherapy something. And suddenly one year I started getting these emails about him being a marketer, and he was doing sales and marketing, but he forgot to change his sending name. So his sending name was hypnotherapist, whatever. And I was getting all these sales and marketing emails going, he's selling sales and marketing, but his sending name was still as a hypnotherapist. And he didn't realize that he hasn't gone in and changed it. So believe it or not, check your sender name, check the sending of it, and make sure that when you test emails, that you actually know how it looks on a mobile phone and on various platforms as well. I will often pick up a client, if they're sitting with me, I'll open it up. Like say I'm with Deborah, I'll open up her emails and I will see what platform she's using and how those emails look from the platform that she's using. Because they do look different on mobile devices, on desktops, but also if they're in Outlook or from something like email from ActiveCampaign or MailChimp, they will look different on different platforms. So number two is your subject headline. And your subject line is super, super important. It is largely responsible for the open rates of how people open. Of course, it's also dependent on what day of the week it is and also the time. But they need to be clear and catchy before they are cute. So all the C's needs to be clear and catchy before they are cute. And it's imperative that you do a spam check beforehand. So in the email marketing platforms, before you send out your emails, you can do a spam check. Well, it's an automatic thing. It does a spam check and it will tell you whether or not, like how many points you'll get reduced for spam content. So some spammy things are exclamation marks. So like the overuse of exclamation marks, the overuse of capital letters, and any inclusions on money, like buy now, can basically put you in spam, which means your emails won't be reaching people's inboxes, but will go to their spam inbox. In saying that, I'm one of those people, I check my spam box every single day, because how many emails nowadays go to spam? So many. So I always check my spam mail, but many people don't. Automation emails can often end up in the spam box as well, unfortunately. So it's important to communicate to your clients, if you are email marketing to them, that they check their spam folder for email marketing, and that they also add you to their contacts. Okay, because it can prevent open rates or even their emails actually hitting the inbox. So use emojis tastefully along with brackets. Brackets are a great way to get open rates. So you'll often see I will use a bracket which will say, read this or open this or important information, and I'll put it in brackets. Or alternatively, I'll put brackets for if it's a blog, if it's a podcast, or if it's a client email, I will actually put brackets and a client email. They can help to identify important emails and get people to open them up. Use actionable customer, the user top of mind, always. Try verbs like take, download, read, or nouns like blog, podcast, template, because these are basically, the reader knows exactly what to do with that email and they know what that email is about. FOMO really works as well. So 2 days left, closing soon. It basically needs to convey what that email is about so that someone will click on it and read it, because that's number one. Number one, you've actually got to get them to open that email. 33 characters works the best. So you've got to keep it short and sharp. You can also personalize it by including first name. How many of you have actually received an email, though, that has first name and not your first name? Okay, Alison's nodding her head. It happens all the time. So here's the thing. Always test your emails and send them to yourself beforehand so that you know whether or not their first name is actually going to be included, or if it's going to say, hey, first name. Now, the other thing careful of, your contacts into your email marketing platform. When you did that, you didn't know the person's first name. So you wrote blonde from the markets, and you wrote that as a first name. Seriously, that's what I've done so that I would remember who that person is. But that first name has been uploaded into your emails, which means you now have that as their first name, and that's what they're going to be called when you send them an email. So the way to check that is to go into your contacts inside your email, go and have a look at all your first names. Sometimes I've even used question mark, or I don't know, arsehole from Tinder or something like that. And I've created that contact on there. And now you're going to email them with that first name. So all you've got to do is go in there, and instead what you can do is change their first name to action taker. And what I do, so it'll come out, and if anybody doesn't have the first name, or if I don't have their first name, or if I've got a descriptive first name, I've just changed it to action taker. So it'll always say, hey, action taker. So that's my little trick to get me out of the poop for having done that in my earlier days. But go check it, because you'll be surprised how many first names you don't actually have. Or if you're like me, sometimes when you're filling out for someone else, when you ask to fill in your first name, I won't write my whole name. I'll just write C. So therefore, someone will be getting the email, hey, C, and not hey, Chantel. So remember to have a look at that. So always test it before sending. Have a look at the mobile and on a desktop, because they're going to look different. And it should speak to a specific audience, just like the post structure we do in social media marketing, where you have to have a captivating headline that stops the right person from scrolling. It is no different with the subject line. The subject line's number one goal is to stop the right person from scrolling and to get them to click in and have a look. So it should speak specifically to the audience that you're targeting in that email. So if you're talking about pole dancing in that email, the headline should attract pole dancers to open it, and not lawyers, for example, if your email is about lawyers. Always deliver on the promise of your subject line. And again, the example I just used is obviously relevant to that. You don't want to be tricking people into opening the headline, because as soon as they open it, when they realize they've been caught, or that the headline was a trick to open them, trickery doesn't build trust, unfortunately. Humor doesn't always translate, and what may be humorous or okay to you may not work to everyone else. So consider that how customer focused it's going to be, or how it's going to be received from the other person. The only negative review that I have on my Facebook page is one from a lady who went in there and said that she did not like my subject line and felt that I was making fun of flood affected people, or because I wrote the subject line flooding in your risk. So she took the time to go and write a bad review on my Facebook page because she felt that that was insensitive. However, when you actually opened up the email, I was sensitive to the floods, but I spoke about email flooding and what you can do to some tricks or things or hacks that you could use in order to stop people from filling up your email inbox. But it didn't translate to her. So it doesn't work for everyone. So number 3 is the pre-header. Who of you actually use your header? Who of you know what a pre-header is? So the pre-header immediately follows the subject line, and it's what you can view in your inbox. So in your inbox, you will see sender, then you will see subject line, and then the first little bits of words that you will see are called the pre-header. So it is a great opportunity to further explain the content in your email. And too many people do not utilize the pre-header. Number 4 then is the content. The content of the email needs to be relevant to your audience and obviously needs to be congruent with the subject line. Now, you cannot presume that people have read your previous emails, and often this is what people do. They just presume that you saw the last email or they saw the last email, but the reality is they possibly haven't. So every time you write an email, you need to consider that they may not have read the previous email and they may not be 100% clear on who you are and what it is that you do. So it is important for them for them to have context and for you to remind them of that. When writing your emails, it is important to write directly to them using words like you, your, and yours, and reduce words like I, we, and ours. In fact, 2/3 of your words should be you, and yours, and only 1/3 should be I, we, or ours, because it should be customer focused. It should be value orientated over benefit orientated. Readers skim read. Okay, who here skim reads? Or who of you take the entire time to go and read a massive long email? Well, we just don't, we skim read. So it's important for us to keep the emails brief and to engage the reader by trying some of these tricks. Okay, the use of capital letters. Now you will notice that I use capital letters in the middle of a sentence. He believes it keeps readers engaged. However, if that is what you use, then you need to keep consistency with the use of the capital letters. So if you use capital letters for she or he or they, then continue to use that throughout so it makes sense within your emails. You may also choose to capitalize certain words like act now and capitalize the entire 2 words, act now, because it helps the reader stay engaged. If they're reading and they suddenly see act now, it's all lowercase, they might, now it evokes the feeling by suddenly seeing the capital letters. Dot points. Dot points are a great way to have a subheading and then just go into short dot points, which again are value orientated over benefits orientated. Emojis, you may wish to use brand emojis. So often you hear me say, have a handful of emojis that are relevant to your brand and that you use all the time. So they are brand focused and they're relevant to your brand and they're ones that you use all the time. So I often use thumbs up. I'll often use thumbs down. I'll use the exclamation mark, emergency exclamation mark, or the siren. I'll often use the little girl that goes like this. And I use the little bomb, the little sort of firecracker one as well. So have a handful of emojis that are relevant to your business and your brand and sit well with the tone of who you are and what you do. You could use bold out certain words. So again, if you go into other emails and have a look, you'll see how that people will bold a couple of words throughout just to keep people engaged. And I use client focused ones. Italics, a lot of people forget to use the good old little italics. So having little italics is a little break. Be sure to use that as well. And 1 sentence paragraphs. They are fantastic, even if you use them in the center of the email. So rather than always having everything, focused to the left-hand side and reading left to right, to break it up, have a 1 sentence paragraph and center that 1 sentence paragraph. Include paragraph breaks often. You could include word extensions like, have you seen this? And you'll often see where I go, follow me, and I'll have all the E's. Now that works for me, and it works in the tone of my emails, and it helps to break it up and give my feelings. But I think if a lawyer or a financial planner was to use it, it may not sit as well with them. So again, if it doesn't sit well with you, don't use it. I'm just giving you some examples of things that you can use. And if you consistently use it, it becomes part of your brand theme or your copywriting theme, which helps people to connect with you and make you memorable. Using images within your email is really important as well. Personal images work really well. So things like yourself and day-to-day things like your dog or a book or your coffee, just like in social media, they work well rather than stock images the entire time, stock free images the entire time. Videos like GIFs or videos. So if you have a look, my new VA, she's been going in and putting little videos. So you would have noticed the layout of my emails have changed significantly in the last month. And that is a new VA who's come in and she's actually gone and she's spiced things up a bit. So I'll show you some examples of that. Use consistent fonts. So, usually you'll hear me say, use a font for your heading, use a different font for your subheading, and then use the same and different font for your written font. So I use Roboto, which is like a rounded sort of font, which I use, as opposed to using something like Arial Montserrat or what's the other one that's very popular? I can't think of it right now. So again, it's got to be aligned with your brand. It's a font that I chose. I like it. It looks slightly different when people click into the emails. It looks different. So I use that font. Include your brand colors and your tone and your voice. So in the emails throughout, obviously, you want to use your colors. You'll always notice I've got my blue and I've got my green. So my green is for my URLs, buttons, breaks, and there's consistency throughout with my template. So there's always that feel, and my tone hopefully is always the same as well. When adding your call to action buttons, always use a noticeable button. So some people are button people, and some people are click on a word. They like to click on the actual word URL. So I just have a rule that there will always be words like act now or learn more or register here. And then behind those words is a hyperlink, and it'll always be in a different color. So people know that that's the link that they must click on those words, and it's always underlined. But I always make a button, and the button always tells the person what to do, because in an email, they just want to skim read, get the gist of it, and decide if they're going to then click on that button. I always have a setting, and it depends on what platform you use, but in ActiveCampaign, you can set a rule that if anybody clicks on a button or clicks on words, that I will get an email to tell me that those people are clicking, because that way I know that I can follow up on those people and either send them an email or give them a call and say, hey, listen, I saw you clicking on that. You didn't follow through, wondering if I can help you with any more information. Be conversational and personable. So gone are the days of, writing formal emails. It literally is a conversation. So telling stories and including metaphors work really well, along with statistics and success stories. So basically, it's great because you can just take your content from social media and put it in there and express to your audience, some value, and then tell them what the next step is for them to take. It should follow logical structure. So that just and you need the paragraph short, an idea per paragraph. One idea per paragraph. It's really that simple. Remember to stay on point. So stop by considering the strategy. What is the point of sending that email? Is it brand awareness? Is it to make a sale? Is it to get people to register? Whatever that one point is, that is the strategy or the intention of that email. And then you have to look at, well, who is the person that I need to stop on that email? Who is the person that needs to stop and open that email? And how am I going to compel them or persuade them to basically do what I want them to do with the point of that email, which is really important. So therefore, the customer and the customer journey is really important. So especially after last week when we did customer mapping, it makes sense. A customer or a buyer needs certain amount of touch points in order to take action. So what are the touch points that person needs in order to take action? And how is that email going to fit into that? You'll often hear people talk about give, get, meaning that it's about giving value, it's about giving value, it's about giving value, and then sending that sales email, which is a slightly harder sales email. Hey, you haven't registered for this. It's starting on this day. Sign up here. And short and sharp. You also have sales page copy templates, which everyone should have as well, which can guide you with coming up with that sales copy. Always proofread and spell check. And I don't know how, I do proofread, I do spell check, and yet I still get occasional emails from people going, hey, you spelled that incorrectly. And I'm like, I don't even know how it got past me. But yeah, so always spell check and proofread. But honestly, perfection for me, I do check, and if it doesn't go out perfect, that's okay. We're all human. But you will always get those sticklers who email you back and go, please notice that you spelt this wrong in line 5. And I'm like, thank you so much for that. Do you want a job? I'll send you my emails each week. But you do get those people. So when it happens, just say thank you. So for example, with the last campaign that I did, because we had the government grants and then we were selling people into the Get More Sales through website traffic program, there was a lot of emails going out about the grant. It was really hard then to try and, put value in between. Very hard to do. And then straight afterwards, we backed up going straight into the Get More Sales on your website. However, the first thing I did as soon as that was finished was with my emails and my social media campaigns, it was like, we're doing no promos for the next week or two. It is just about value and sharing success stories and just giving value over the next 2 weeks, because we've had a lot with the grant and the Get Sales. So it's very important for you to be aware of that, of having that balance. So when it comes to emojis, emojis can actually help trigger emotion. So when you see an emoji, it helps to make you take action or compels you to do things. So it is important to use them strategically and correctly within your emails and your social media. They help to engage your audience. They help differentiate your emails in the inbox, in your subject line, and they also help engagement in your emails when you're actually reading. There's a statistic that says 56%, you have a 56% higher chance of an open rate by using emojis, and only 2% of email marketers use them, which means that if you're one of the, if only 2% of people are using emojis in the email marketing, chances are your emails are going to stand out in the inbox if you use them strategically. So as I said, consider having brand associated emojis. You'll often find certain brands have an emoji and they'll use that emoji all the time. Sometimes people will have emojis to differentiate the content in those emails. For example, when we've got a training, I use I either use the headphones or I'll use a microphone. And when a blog goes out, I'll just use the little pen emoji so that when it goes out, people now know or identify that those emojis relate to specific content that's going out. So they know that it's a sales email, or they know that it's an educational email, or they know that I'm delivering on something. Who knows what the highest open rate emoji is? Who can have a guess? Does anyone have a guess? I'm going to let you answer this one. Unmute, say your name and say the emoji. What do you think the highest open rate emoji is?
Hi, this is Jules.
Hey, Jules, go for
Hey, is it a smile
gold.
emoji?
I'm going to say it's the opposite of that. That's my clue. It's
Oh, no way.
opposite of that.
Is it a frown?
A frown. I'll give you a clue. Amber Heard is supposedly did this. Who knows what the emoji is? Come on, who's following what's trending with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Jonathan, go.
Poop.
Poo emoji. Thank you, Jonathan. The poo emoji has the highest open rate. And again, use the poo emoji only in the right context, because using it to get people to open it and then not having something related to or relevant to that is trickery, and trickery doesn't build trust. So thank you, Jonathan, for that. Always test how they look on different devices, because on some devices, emojis are a square or a circle or a nothing. Meaning that depending if it's Outlook, Gmail, they look different. So how a cloud looks, a cloud is blue and white, and will look blue and white cloud. On some devices, it will just look like a blob. So it is important then to go in and have a look at your reports inside your email marketing and see what devices people are mostly opening up your emails on. Are they opening up on a desktop? Are they opening up in mobile? Or are they using Gmail, Outlook, Apple's, Android? Because those emojis are all going to look differently. And then go and find those devices and send a person on that device a test and have a look and see how that works.
It also depends on whether you have your devices updated with the current software.
Perfect, Kelly, 100%. Thank you for bringing that up.
Because I sent the new emojis to my daughter and she hadn't updated her phone and she's going, Mum, what the hell are you trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah. And often it'll come back and it'll just be like, there'll just be icons, or a bracket. Like often it'll be a bracket and a square and a circle. You would have seen it sometimes and you go, what is that? But it's somebody with an Android trying to send an Apple person an emoji. So really, really important to know this. And you should always be looking at your reports and you should always be testing. Like that's a given on everything that you do. If you're using this as a part of your strategy, like you need to see how it looks. To grab attention, you could use the emergency. You could use the emergency emojis. You can use the fire siren, thumbs up, thumbs down, lightning bolts, fire. The biggest hack to determine what is the best way to use them in emails is to go through your emails and have a look at subject lines that are stopping you from scrolling. Have a look at emojis that are catching your attention, and then click into the emails and look at the formatting and templates and the design elements of other emails and go, I like that. I like how they've divided into 3 segments. I like how they've centered that part, but then put that to the left. I like how they've put a line break there, how they've used capital letters, bolds, italics. And that is seriously the biggest hack, is to go through your email list and have a look, which I'm going to take you through now. So let's go and have a look. So if we just have a look over here, and honestly, this is my here. So this send more, his email platform is at the beginning of his. Okay. Over here, you can see he's got the hands up to get people to stop. And it's at the end of the subject line. And then you can see that the pre-header is goals don't work. He's actually used capital letters, stop setting goals, And that actually might make that end up in some people's spam folder. It hasn't ended up in my spam folder, but I would say with Outlook it will, because Outlook is one of the hardest ones. I personally, in a subject line, like to put an emoji at the beginning. So if you have a look here at Big 4 holiday parks, you can see the stars at the beginning of Find Your Next Memorable Holiday Destination. So I like to put it at the beginning, but that's my personal preference. You can see over here with the megaphone at Hideaway, they've put it at the end before the pre-header. Let's see others over here. Here we go. So you can see mine. You can see over here that I've put a pen because it's a training, and then in brackets I've put today, and then how to structure your content in emails, and then I've got email marketing as the pre-header. So I'm hoping that mine actually stops people from scrolling. When you click in and have a look, branding consistency, I've used my colors, blue and green. I've centered one email up at the top and bolded it. I've got a button. I've got line breaks, bullet points, and I've used emojis for that. Over here, I've used capital letters and I've bolded it, and then used 3 emojis and 3 emojis, one from before to after. So I've used unhappy face, unhappy face, unhappy face. I've just included the slight little email envelope emoji over here. I've gone then and I've centered the last little bit. I've hyperlinked the link. So that over there, if I click into it, will actually take you to the sales page. And there isn't a button. Naughty girl, Chantel. Oh, there's a button at the top. There's a button here. I always like to have a button underneath as well. So usually I'd put that button down at the bottom and have that button here as well. Okay, that's just an example of mine. So over here, you can see 2 emojis with the open mouth on either side. This Esther and Co, they always use that flower. So it is becomes part of their brand awareness. eBay always uses the little truck for their order update. Unroll Me always uses, they never change it. It's always an envelope with a finger to the right. Play buttons, clocks work really well, especially if it's counting down. Let's have a look. I always look at the ones that stop me from scrolling. The little firecracker, the money emoji. So using money inside your, using money or buy now can be spammy and slow down your open rate or go to the spam folder. However, you can use the money emoji, and that passes. You can see over here where I said important client update, I use the emergency icon, and then again I use brackets. I find that increases my open rates. Usual open rates, anything from about 20%, and my open rate is about 40%, and I think it's because or they don't use emojis or brackets strategically to increase their open rates. Come on, open up. All right, that's not working. What I want to show you is what some of you may not realize is that you actually have, those of you who did the Plus program, so the 5-month program with me, you'll have access to lesson 7, which has this email marketing module. In this email marketing module, there are 40 fill in the blank post headline templates and 100 hot email subject lines and email copy checklists. So I'll just click into this one so you can have a look, but I've actually given you 100 hot email subject lines. None of which have emojis, so you could use your emojis and use your brackets. Oh, some of them have brackets as well. Let's see if that's opened yet. Oh, there we go. There we go. There's a thumbs down. I do prefer to have the emoji at the beginning, as I said, of the subject line. For me, that sits better. How many don't use emojis? Have a look at that. There's a lock. There's a love heart. Download me with a little hand. Super Saturday sale with a lightning bolt. Oh, I do love the little I've gone blank. The little light bulb. But if you just go through and have a look, see which of that get you to open or click on. I love the little keys. I often use the monkeys as well. And it will look different dependent on the device that you use. But how many don't use it? So imagine if you used it. All right. So does anyone have any questions while we are on this? Or any of you are currently writing an email and would like me to help you with a subject line, perhaps? No one writing emails at the moment. I must say, if you do write an email and you are not using your email marketing platform and you are using your personal platform, it is vital that if you are bulk emailing people, that you BCC them in. This morning, I had a lady add me to a video marketing program, and she just added me with about 20 other people, so everyone can see my email address, and that's actually a breach of privacy. And I'm not stoked at all that she sent me an email. She's added me to this email thread along with everyone else. Deborah, I actually wrote a post this morning on my Facebook page, which talks about MailChimp. Just because people use MailChimp doesn't mean that's the right platform for you. It depends on whether or not you want to do complicated email automations. If you want to do more complicated stuff, you need to use something like MailerLite, like Alison's using. If you are going to use very strategic high-end marketing funnels, you want to use something like ActiveCampaign. But to start a MailChimp, for example, the company that I'm working with at the moment, they were told to use MailChimp. They've been using MailChimp, didn't realize that they haven't been able to do any email automation because MailChimp doesn't allow them to use complex email automation. So they've missed that out. They've missed out on that for the entire business. So we're in the process. I think it's about $2,000. I'm now going to have to transfer everything from MailChimp. And because they're a product-based business, it's better for them to use something like Klaviyo. So we're moving them from MailChimp to Klaviyo. So just because you hear that MailChimp's the right, a lot of people start out on MailChimp, doesn't mean that that's the platform for you. Because later on down the line, you may have to change platforms. And if you're anything like me, I don't want to learn something this year and then have to relearn something else and pay to move it in about a year or two's time. So it may be worth you paying $15 a month and going with a slightly better platform that you can grow into. It means you don't have to learn it later on, which is pretty cool. Any other questions? Building your email list is obviously a really important part of your strategy, and it is the number one thing that I wish that I'd done. Even now, at the moment, we have got a new venture that we're doing. There is another guy that I have known for a very long time, and we're going to start a monthly networking group. We're going to have it once a month on the Gold Coast and once a month on the Sunny Coast on a Friday afternoon from 4 to 5. We should be launching that in the next week. And straight away, the first number one thing that we're going to do is get expressions of interest for the Gold Coast and expressions of interest for the sunny coast. We don't just want expressions of interest for anywhere. We want to know Gold Coast, sunny coast, or where else would you like us to have one? Yes, Alison, I know you want us to have one in Maryborough. And Jonathan wants one in Canberra. And I don't think Jonathan's in Canberra. You're in New South Wales. I remember having that confusion last time.
I'm in Canberra.
You're in Canberra.
My
That's right.
office is in New South Wales.
That's right. That's right. So, we are starting this networking group. The number one thing is to be able to get people's email addresses so that if they can't attend this one address, so that I can continue to let them know about future events, just like your products. If they're not interested in this particular product, how can I get their email address so that I can nurture them into products later on? So the number one biggest regret that I have, and I tell people all the time, is I wish that I'd grown my email list sooner, because some people aren't ready to buy right now. So the point of email marketing is to nurture those prospects into buying from you sooner than later.